And so I will kick it off. I will talk about a recent report that Education Week put together. It was called Shaping Strong School Leaders. And what we did, we went to talk to school district leaders about how they are responding to some of the research that has come out in the last couple of years on how the principal's job is changing, the demands on the job, and some of the programs that they need to put in effect to ensure that principals are prepared for the job, that they have the right kind of support and evaluation they need for the job, and that they can stay on the job. So we know that 50% of principals leave their school in 3 years. Districts spend about $75,000 to train and prepare principals for the job. Principal churn costs school districts about $160 million annually. Principals who are not given professional development are 1.4 times more likely to leave their job. So what can districts do? Well, we also have a number of reports telling us what districts can do. They can align goals and strategies and structures and resources to help support principals. They can foster a culture of collective responsibility, balanced autonomy, and continuous learning and improvement for principals. That's sort of where professional development comes in. And they can implement key systems and policies to help principals to manage talent in their building. So autonomy is very important. And so given that background from the research, what we did, we spoke with school district leaders and we put together something called Shaping Strong School Leaders. And we looked at developing a principal pipeline. So I'm going to just show you really quickly what we did with Denver. We looked at Denver's program. Denver has been very, very intentional about growing its own principals. A number of Denver principals come from within the district. About 1 in 5 teachers in Denver serve in leadership roles because Denver sees teacher leadership as a key part of the principal pipeline. Now, if you were to scroll, I would just go through this quickly. So they start with school leader preparation. Then they have an intentional focus on first-year principals. They have a residency program called Teach to Lead. And one of the things that we find in Teach to Lead is that the district helps the assistant principals to work in a capacity as if they were principals. So they're getting real life job training that they would need if they were to become principals. I'll just scroll through. You have step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, and step 7. And so I'll just go through some of this. They have to create leadership opportunities for aspiring principals, map potential vacancies, match aspiring principal skills and backgrounds with the school's need, and again, provide continuous professional development, coaching, and mentoring for school principals. We also took a look at aspiring principal program in Maryland, and what we're seeing is that the state is trying to focus on aspiring principals and the responsibilities they have, and to move those responsibilities beyond the traditional focus on things like discipline and food service programs. You can go onto EdWeek's website and you can see how we worked with the Maryland program and see how they are training aspiring principals to become principals. One thing that we found out in looking at the aspiring principal program is that you have to expand the responsibilities and you have to prepare the APs for actual challenges of the job. I'm just going to go on to professional development. It must be job embedded, conducted over an extended period of time, let's say over the course of a year, as opposed to a 2-week training, a weekend workshop. Professional development must also promote distributive leadership and use a cohort model. We also looked at principal supervisors in Omaha. And again, these are ways that school districts are responding to what the research has been saying about what they need to do to prepare, train and ensure that when principals are on the job, they have the kind of support that they need. So with principal supervisors, we are finding that districts are providing more training and professional development for the supervisors. They're developing standards for the supervisors. They're reducing the number of principals that the supervisors oversee, and then they're shifting the focus from compliance to support. And a key thing that we're also finding is a focus on distributing leadership. We're all hearing a lot about how the principal's job has changed, and there are so many demands on that one person in the school building who's responsible for this. So one way that districts are doing this, they are focusing on teacher leaders. And teacher leadership is very important, not just in giving the principal more time to focus on instructional leadership, but it's also a way to ensure that effective and expert teachers remain part of the system and that they do not retire. So again, these are some of the things that we looked at in our special report on school leadership. And I'm going to add this for you, but here's some of the list of like recent research that has come out on school leadership. The Wallace Foundation, you already know, the Thomas B. Fordham Institute had a great report on developing the next generation of school leaders. We had from the Fordham Institute a really, really good report last year looking at the challenges in recruiting, selecting, and placing good principals. There was also a report from the Bush Presidential Center and New Leaders, and it was really comprehensive, not just looking at the deficits, but ways in which school districts were being really creative in creating conditions on the ground to enable principals to become effective, not just the superhero principal who works 80 hours a week, but every principal can use some of those resources that they recommended to improve leadership. So this is some of what we've put together.